Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome to our New Testament challenge. Today I'm going to share with you some thoughts on the 16th chapter of the book of Romans, the last part of Paul's letter to the church at Rome. And so it, you can tell this is a letter back then had a lot more meat to it than maybe what we're used to when we think of letter, but there were still some similarities. And so the last chapter is Paul is saying, hey, he's passing on greetings from people who work with him. He's giving greetings to those he knows and who are working with them, and just kind of touching bases, making sure those relationships are lifted up and mentioned. Again, relationship is key and important to all of this. He says, urge you, one final instruction, keep an eye on those who cause dissension and opposition to the teaching you've learned. Avoid them. So be careful. Be careful in what you hear and what you say. Not everybody who claims to be a follower or a teacher of Christ is going to be one. So just be careful there. And a final blessing. The God who is able to strengthen you according to my gospel. May that God bring your faith to maturity in the midst of that. So, as we finish up the book of Romans, deep stuff, a lot of things to talk about, to think about. But ultimately, it comes down to our relationship with God and our relationship with one another. How do we relate to God? How do we lift up God? How do we build up God's kingdom? How do we glorify God? And in the midst of that, also, how do we build and cement the relationships that we have? How do we support our brothers and sisters in Christ? How do we keep them from stumbling? How do we keep them from falling? How do we lift up Christ above all? This is important stuff, important parts of the gospel. And so as we go into this new year and as we go into uncharted territory, just remember that Christ died for us, for the Jew and for the Gentile, and that we are called to lift each other up, to glorify God, and to help each other along the way. Hope this has been helpful, my friends. Take care, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.